and working on development and academics as well, serving as an NFL liaison for LSU. And, of course, the Tigers coming off of a win this past Saturday against Mississippi State, and they continue that Mississippi theme. They've got Ole Miss coming in at 2:30 Saturday afternoon at Tiger Stadium. Please give a warm quarterback club welcome to Dean Dingman. Dean?
Thank you. Sorry about that. It was really good to get a win. It was important to come off of such a big game the prior week. As you could see, they weren't able to follow up the following week. So Coach Miles was real aggressive in wanting us to come out and play. As you can see, the last 2 weeks we've come out, we've played well. The team is really starting to improve. The passing game is coming together. The receivers, the young quarterback, everything's starting to move in the right direction. So as we keep going forward, we've got Ole Miss this week. We want to keep progressing, keep making the team better, keep improving, and then we'll let the chips fall where they do. Obviously, the bowl situation coming up, it'll be real important to see where everything comes out. But it's too early to tell where we could end up, what could happen on that. There's a lot of the season to be still played out. So what we got to do is really try and control what we can, and that's come out and really play well. We want to play aggressive, dominating football, and I think we still have a lot to prove and a lot to show what type of team we have. This year we had a lot of injuries. We've had come from a lot of injuries. On the offensive line alone, everybody's pretty aware, we're starting 2 true freshmen on the right side. And those 2 guys have really come a long way and are really physical, dominating players that have a great potential to play at this level, but then also at the next level also. So when you look at how many people we've had injured, the team we're playing a lot of freshmen. That were playing on special teams, but also in the starting position. So what I wanted to give you guys a look at a little bit is what is a day in the life of a freshman football player at the LSU. With that, they start out every morning with this great thing called Breakfast Club. Now, Breakfast Club sounds like a great thing. It's a club, right? You get to have fun, enjoy things, get breakfast. Well, it's neither one of those. So it starts out, it's academics. So you start there, 7:30 you have to be there. Can't be a minute late. It's starting to set examples for the kids. So they get up, they got to be at Breakfast Club at 7:30. At that time, they're going over what they got to do that day from everything academically. Then the next thing is, about 8 o'clock, they've got classes. So most freshmen are carrying between 12 and 18 credits. So that means they've got between 3 and 4 hours of class a day with that. You have to carry 12 to be eligible to practice and play. So they've got classes all day long. And in that time, if they have any time free, it's usually a tutor session is involved in there. Then they've got treatments, get some lunch, and then full team meetings at 2 o'clock. So their day is just going one after another after another. The next thing you know, they've got full team meetings. So the practice starts with Coach Miles having a full team meeting at 2 o'clock. We're on the field about 3:30 with special teams and practice. Off the field at 6 o'clock. Now they got to get some treatment because you know they're going to be banged up. They're tired. So they're in the ice tubs. They're trying to rehabilitate shoulders, different things on that. And then we get some dinner, and then it's back to probably a tutor. We have strategy tutors, which help them work on how to do their time frame, different things. But then we also have content tutors, which we'll work with if they got a biology class, math class, that. And then pretty much they're exhausted and back to bed, and they're just repeating it. And most of the freshmen are also in, Coach Miles came up with another great thing, Friday Night Lights. Now, Friday Night Lights sounds like, it's football on Friday, something fun. Well, most of the team is off to movie, doing different things on Friday as a team. Well, these guys get the Friday Night Lights, they can get to study also. So it's another 2 hours of study table on Friday night before the game. So Coach Miles has got a great way of coming up with names for things that maybe aren't quite what they seem to be on that side. So the other thing that I work with at LSU, I'm a former sports agent. I negotiated a lot of players' contracts in the NFL. So what I do is I also work with all the seniors and then also any juniors that are looking at potential NFL situations coming up. So this week we had 39 players in the NFL. So it's one of the most of any college out there. I think that shows to the talent of the state but also then to the coaches, working with guys, developing them, and putting them to the NFL. So I know LSU is really proud of the amount of people that are on NFL teams right now. As we get going forward, we'll have a lot of things to look at with the juniors that will probably be looking to, with their talent, go to the NFL. So that'll be a really, really big thing that we're going to have to prepare for, because we know that when some of these guys are rated so high that it's a chance of a lifetime for them. So we'll have to recruit around that to replace a lot of guys on that area. So with that, I'll open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions. Well, I'll keep the names because that's still undetermined. We probably have at least 5 that will probably go pro. There's probably right now 4 kids that are rated right around the first round in that side. So, and some kids that are rated at the top of the draft. So you're looking at $22 million guaranteed if you're the first pick of the draft, second pick, third pick of the draft in that area. The one good thing about the NFL, with their new collective bargaining agreement, they really cut rookie salaries just about in half, almost 60% from what they were when you started hearing about large signing bonuses and the $60 million signing bonuses or $60 million deals. So what they did was when they cut that down, the top player now gets around $22 million, but it is 100% guaranteed. So it's a 4-year contract, basically 100% guaranteed. And that really goes down until about the top 20 picks. So if you're drafted in the first 20 picks of the draft, you're pretty much guaranteed a contract for the first 4 years on that side. So. Well, what we really try to do is do what's best for the player. There's a lot of times that the coaches would like to have everybody back. I mean, these guys are incredible players. We would be a lot better team. But with that, it really is a business decision for them. You know, if somebody's an incredibly intelligent person in the business school and Microsoft comes along and says, hey, we'll give you $10 million guaranteed, and if we ask Warren Buffett, he's going to say, take the money on that side of it. It's a chance of a lifetime that's guaranteed to you. And education is incredible, but they also have to be smart about that. So there are some players that are on the fringe, and everybody has different situations that we'll work with, and we want them to make a really, really intelligent business decision that's best for them and their family. For example, I'll just give you a couple of numbers. If you're drafted in the first round, the last pick of the first round, you're guaranteed about $7 million over a 4-year period. If for some reason you fall down to the last pick of the second round, which is really easily done, when you start looking at the bottom of the first round, from the 20th pick to really middle of the third round, it's a crapshoot. This team could love you, but they don't need a tight end at that spot. So, but you're looking at a difference of about $6 million. The last pick of the second round, really with signing bonus and anything, is going to get about $1 million contract. So with taxes, you're going to pay 50%. It's really not enough to be retired for the rest of your life. So that's what we'll work with them to see exactly where they're rated. We send into the NFL. The NFL has an advisory board where we'll get 6 teams will actually rate them and give us their draft grades on the kids. So we'll know exactly what these teams think. Not what you hear on some of the media sites that are, these are actually NFL general managers or head of college scouting that have rated these kids. So we'll work with them, and for some kids the best decision is to come back because you can make money in college football. If you go from being the last pick of the second round to the last pick of the first round, you've made about $6 million in a year's time frame that they'll never get back up. So, because once they sign that first contract, it's pretty much you're going to play that 4 years out, and then they're going to grade and pay you on what your pay rate is at that time. So,
talking about what you've been talking about is, do you evaluate it based on position? Like, maybe if you play quarterback, that extra year of experience in college is going to help you coming out into the pros, or maybe if you're a defensive back, it's just more pure skill, so it's not as necessary. I don't know, a little thought on that. I mean, it seems like Andrew Luck and RG3 stayed throughout, and they're both doing pretty well and seem to have good heads on their shoulders. So
I think that's an individual situation. There's no doubt that quarterbacks, we work with a person named Joe Mendez. Joe Mendez used to be the general manager of the Washington Redskins. Now he has a business that's called Cornerstone Sports. It's a he's basically a consultant firm, and he has tracked every draft. What is the success rate for a senior quarterback to come out? What's the success rate for a junior that comes out as a quarterback? And it is really position specific. Quarterbacks do so much better if they wait and come out a little bit longer and have more playing time. But you are correct. If it's a running back, for example, it's really a physical talent and skill. There's not as much seasoning there that's involved. But really it depends on how many players are at your position, what talent is available at other schools, who's going to be in the draft, who declares. It just turns out this year, wide receiver is probably a position that's not as strong as offensive tackles or different things. So it really looks at what position. For example, if you're a fullback, there's less than no fullback gets drafted in the first round. If you're on average, center is drafted in the first round. So you figure one every 2 years. So you really have to go and say, okay, it's not just, you hear the talk a lot, well, if he's a first rounder, he will leave. Well, really, for some players, being a third rounder might be the highest that they're going to peak out and cap out. And for them, it might be the right decision for them to leave and go in that area. So it's really an individual decision, and it has a lot to do with their family and what their needs are.
Coach, you're a Big Ten guy from Michigan. Why is there in the last 10 years such a gap between the Big Ten and the SEC as far as football? I mean, it used to be, back in the day, it was a kind of a rivalry, which was a better football conference, but there's such a gap now between the SEC and the Big Ten in football, with a lot of good schools like Michigan and Ohio State, Wisconsin, with a lot of money. Why is that?
One of the biggest things that I think, I grew up in Wisconsin, grew up on a farm in Wisconsin. When I was growing up, I'm 44 years old, so in 1987, the Big Ten ESPN really wasn't broadcasting a lot of football games. So with that, if you wanted to be on television, the Big Ten was on. There was only 2 games really that was on. You had your regular television, you had your local game, and then you had a national game. And so that was really separated. So the Big Ten was really on all the time. I think my senior year on ABC had the contract. Keith Jackson called, I think, 7 of our games. So with that, we had players at the University of Michigan. There was only 3 players on our starting roster that was from the state of Michigan. It was from Ohio. I was from Wisconsin. You had California, Texas, Louisiana. We had a guy named Ward Manuel, who's now the AD at UConn. Florida, Georgia. So really, those schools recruited nationally and brought in the best players in the country. And so I think what's happened is now, you can go to any school and be on television. You can be recruited. The other side of it is, if kids have dreams of playing in the NFL, there's no problem with them doing that. It doesn't matter what school you play at. The NFL is going to look at you at what type of athlete you are and what your potential is. So I think the recruiting base, kids have learned that I can stay closer to home and not have to leave so far. So they're not drawing kids so far away and just coming up there just for the school on that side. So there's definitely been a huge change with the southern schools and SEC, for example, being so dominant. Our graduation rate right now is 77% for college football players. It's the second in the SEC behind Vanderbilt. It's one of the things Coach Miles is really harps on the kids. We have a great support staff at the Cox Center with our academic staff, and we have people checking class every day. I mean, they are tough on the kids nowadays. I mean, I might have missed 1 or 2 classes at Michigan on that side of it. These kids have to go to class. They really work with it, and that really works with Coach Miles' motto is winning championships while graduating, earning degrees. So we're very proud of that.
Thank you, Dean. LSU, of course. Ole Miss rivalry renewed 2:30 Saturday afternoon. Our final